Meanwhile, as regional leaders continue to rally around the surprise win of Felix Tshisekedi, France, which originally stated it thought that Fayulu had won, now says that its ambassador will be attending Thursday's inauguration. For more, let's go to London. And Andrew Weir, deputy editor of Africa Confidential, thank you for speaking with us on France 24.
Thank you.
So we've seen the president of South Africa, the French foreign minister, rolling back initial questions, denunciations of the announced results. What do you make of it?
Well, it is quite strange because what happened, first of all, was that Southern African Development Community, which groups most of the region, most of the states in that whole region, called for a recount. And then the South African foreign minister rode back from that. And then President Cyril Ramaphosa rode back from that as well. And he's now congratulated Tshisekedi. But most unusually of all, the African Union intervened. And this is practically unheard of. A few days ago, the African Union pleaded with the Constitutional Court in Kinshasa, which authorizes, sets a seal on the elections, to postpone their decision because of suspicions about the vote. The Constitutional Court came out and endorsed the victory of Tshisekedi, and now the African Union sort of been left hanging. But it's very, very odd because the African Union has practically never criticized any election, including some very dubious ones.
Including some very dubious ones. In this case, is it down to its rotating president, Paul Kagame, of Rwanda?
Well, that's what I've been trying to find out, and I can't get a clear steer on it. I mean, I think he called for that meeting, and so he probably does have some of his authorship on the eventual result. But I'm not really sure about that. I mean, President Kagame's stance on the Congo has varied quite a lot over time, and he's intimately involved with the internal politics of the DRC. So exactly what he had a problem with, we're not really quite sure at this stage. But I think one of the things that's been very clear, and which is why it's particularly surprising that France should have piled in so quickly to approve the Tshisekedi victory, was the absolute blatancy of the fraud. As you may know, late last week, Africa Confidential and Financial Times in particular, and France 24 and RFI got hold of a leak of the election results, and it is perfectly obvious that about 5 million votes have been stolen away from Martin Fayulu, who was clearly the victor. Because the reason we can be that confident that this fraud did take place is because the leaked election results in an Excel file correspond very, very closely with the polling monitoring done by the Conference of Catholic Bishops in DRC. Now, those two sets of data, were completely independently collected. The bishops' monitors, there was something like 40,000 of them through the country, over 75,000 polling stations, recorded who went in, who came out, the number of voters, and so on. And then the leaked document, which we've all got very high confidence comes from the Electoral Commission itself. If you put them side by side, they match up. They match up almost perfectly. And so we can state with a very high degree of confidence that what has happened is that Fayulu, who won the popular vote with about 60%, has had a huge amount of votes taken away from him and given to Felix Tshisekedi. And how the Electoral Commission is going to justify this, and because they're supposed to publish all the data, all the information, polling papers, tallies from the polling station. How they're going to do that will be interesting to see.
Yeah, because they still haven't done it. And we heard that impassioned plea from the Catholic Observer Mission asking the members of the Security Council to step up. Is this a case? Is the calculus on the part of France and other Western powers? It's better to have a stolen election than a return to full-blown civil war?
I'm not sure that necessarily that full-blown civil war would have been the option. If the current president, President Kabila's nominee, Shadari, had won, there could well have been enormous ructions, possibly not civil war, but vast public order disturbances in all the major cities, because everyone was expecting a fix, and he. Shadari only got like 20% of the vote in reality. So if they tried to put him in, that's what we think went on, is that President Kabila and Tshisekedi, they may even have made this arrangement weeks ago, put their heads together and said, look, if our guy can't get it, will you take it? And because President Kabila still has control of parliament, and something like 2/3 of the seats in parliament. And so the ability of his party to control what Felix Tshisekedi does will be very strong indeed. So as for the stability argument, yes, I think France and others would probably say, it is better to have somebody who is not Kabila, because that was the big threat, that he or a puppet would continue to rule in Congo. And it's better to have somebody else, and it's also better for stability. They might well be saying, but given the enormity of and very unusually the provability of the electoral fraud that took place, it's quite. You think they could have waited a few more days.
In 30 seconds, Andrew Weir, could Felix Tshisekedi surprise us in the way that the president of neighboring Angola has and be his own man?
Well, that's an interesting question. It's one we've been asking ourselves, and I think the answer is no, because unlike Angola, where you have a very, very powerful executive presidency and no real power in parliament either, and the party being the same. What you have in Congo is that Felix Tshisekedi will be there as president, but his prime minister has to be approved by parliament, the cabinet has to be approved by parliament. So if he tries to get too independent, the parliament and the people who still have loyalty to Kabila can intervene to stop him doing anything radical.
Andrew Weir, Deputy Editor of Africa Confidential, many thanks for joining us from London.
Thank you.